In the silent vastness of space, a fleet of alien ships moved steadily through the stars. The beings aboard were tall, sleek, and intelligent, with eyes that reflected the light of distant suns. They had explored hundreds of worlds, cataloged countless civilizations, and yet today their sensors detected something unusual. A small erratic energy signal pulsed from a distant star system, one that did not match the usual patterns of planets or natural phenomena. The leader of the expedition, a scientist named Keleth, examined the readings. "This signal, it is organic but highly structured," she said, her voice calm yet filled with wonder. "It is unlike anything we have seen in known space." Her companion, a strategist named Varen, leaned over the console. "Could it be another alien civilization?" he asked, his voice tinged with skepticism. "It seems too simple, almost primitive." Keleth shook her head. "Primitive does not mean unimportant. We cannot ignore this. We must investigate." The alien fleet altered its course and entered orbit around the remote planet emitting the signal. What they saw made their eyes widen in astonishment. Below them lay a planet that, by all accounts, should have been uninhabitable. Its surface was rough, rocky, and barren. Dust storms swept across dry plains, and jagged mountains cast long shadows across cracked valleys. Yet scattered across this harsh terrain were clusters of small settlements. The aliens observed carefully. The humans, if that was what they were, had built shelters from local materials, simple but sturdy. They had created small greenhouses, using natural light and their own makeshift technology to grow crops. Fires burned in chimneys and tiny roads connected the settlements. Despite the harsh conditions, the humans thrived, surviving where logic said they could not. Varen frowned. "How have they survived all this time? Their technology is barely functional. Primitive tools, small farms, basic energy systems. Yet they live. They adapt. It is impressive." Keleth nodded. "Adaptation is intelligence. It is not always measured by machines. Look closely. See how they manage resources, how they protect themselves from storms, how they support each other. These humans, they have something special." As they studied the colony, a small scouting team from the planet approached the edge of a cliff where the alien ships hovered above. The humans were tall, strong, and rugged. Dressed in clothing made from tough fabrics, their faces weathered from years under a harsh sun. They pointed at the ships, shouting in a language the aliens did not understand. They carried spears and shields, crude yet carried with confidence. The aliens could not hide their presence completely, but they remained silent observers. From above they saw the humans' ingenuity. One group had built a water collection system from rocks and plants, channeling rain into underground storage. Another had constructed wind-powered devices to grind grains. It was all simple, almost primitive, yet highly effective. Keleth turned to Varen. "We cannot underestimate them. They survived alone, without contact from the rest of the galaxy. That tells us they are clever, resourceful, and determined. Their intelligence is not measured by technology alone." Varen was silent for a moment, then asked, "Do we approach? Do we make contact?" Keleth's eyes shone with curiosity. "Carefully. We observe, but we must not interfere at first. Let them see us without feeling threatened." The aliens initiated a cautious approach. Holographic messages projected into the sky, attempting to communicate in basic visual symbols and sounds. The humans watched in confusion, unsure whether these were threats or signs of goodwill. Some of the older humans argued to attack, fearing the strangers were invaders. Others urged caution, suggesting they watch carefully. Among the humans, a young leader named Daniel stepped forward. He was tall, with sharp eyes that seemed to see every detail. He raised his hands to show peace, signaling to his people to hold their weapons. Slowly he approached the edge of the cliff, trying to understand the strange lights above. The aliens watched, curious. Keleth whispered, "See? One brave individual, willing to step forward. That is a sign of leadership. That is intelligence." As Daniel reached a safe distance from the cliff's edge, a small alien vessel descended slowly, keeping a respectful distance. Daniel froze, then slowly extended his hand, a gesture he had learned from observing animals, an attempt to show he meant no harm. The aliens responded with a mirror gesture, opening their mechanical appendages in a similar way. For a moment, time seemed to stand still. Two species, separated by light years and centuries of evolution, were trying to understand one another. The humans were cautious but curious, The aliens were fascinated but careful. Suddenly, a young human child ran forward laughing, pointing at the alien ship. The humans behind him gasped, rushing to pull him back, but Daniel held up his hand to stop them. He realized that fear could be replaced by understanding if they acted carefully. The aliens observed this behavior with interest. Keleth turned to Varen. Humans, they are unpredictable, but in their unpredictability, there is creativity, courage, and intelligence. Their strength lies not in weapons, but in their spirit. As the sun set over the barren landscape, the humans slowly gathered near the cliff. Some kept their distance, others approached cautiously. They spoke among themselves, sharing theories, asking questions, debating whether to trust these strange beings. The aliens projected images of stars, planets, and symbols, attempting to communicate. It was awkward at first, filled with misunderstanding, but slowly small connections formed. Varen looked impressed. I never thought a species could survive like this, for centuries alone in such harsh conditions, and yet here they are, alive, thriving. Keleth smiled. They are more than survivors. They are innovators, creators. They have adapted not just physically but socially, emotionally, and intellectually. That is remarkable. Night fell on the planet and the aliens retreated to orbit for observation. The humans returned to their homes, puzzled but intrigued. They had seen beings from the stars, strange and unlike anything they had imagined. Daniel sat outside his shelter, gazing at the sky. He felt a mixture of fear and wonder, knowing that something significant had just begun. In the alien ships, Keleth recorded her observations. This human colony, it defies all expectations. They should have perished long ago, yet they survived, innovated, and maintained society. There is something unique here. Something that even we do not fully understand. Varen added, we must continue observing, but carefully. Their resourcefulness, their courage, their ingenuity, it is impressive, perhaps. They are more than we thought. As the stars rotated slowly above, the humans and aliens remained aware of each other, separated by culture, language, and species, yet drawn together by curiosity and intelligence. The first step had been taken, the first bridge between two worlds forming slowly, carefully and respectfully, and unknown to both. The humans carried a secret, one that would shock the aliens and challenge every assumption they had about intelligence, survival, and power. The galaxy was about to witness the truth of humanity, and it would be far greater than anyone had expected. The morning sun rose over the rugged landscape, casting long shadows across the human colony. Birds, small, hardy creatures adapted to the harsh environment, flitted between the greenhouses, and the humans began their daily routines. Children ran along narrow paths laughing, while adults tended crops, repaired shelters, and prepared food. Life, despite the planet's challenges, had found a rhythm. Above, the alien ships lingered in orbit, silent observers. The aliens debated their next move. Keleth, the scientist, insisted on approaching cautiously, respecting the humans' independence. Varen, the strategist, argued for more direct contact, believing that understanding was impossible without closer interaction. Finally, the decision was made. A small group of aliens would descend to the planet's surface to establish formal communication, while the rest remained in orbit, monitoring and recording. The chosen aliens had advanced translation devices and holographic projectors, allowing them to convey ideas in multiple forms. As the small alien craft approached, humans noticed the movement. Panic swept through some parts of the colony. Messages were shouted, warnings given, and spears readied. Yet Daniel, the human leader who had first approached the alien ships, urged calm. He knew fear could lead to unnecessary conflict. When the craft landed, it did so gently, kicking up a cloud of dust that shimmered in the morning sunlight. From it emerged 3 aliens, Keleth, Varen, and a historian named Silan. They were taller than the humans, their skin glinting subtly in the light, and their eyes showed curiosity rather than threat. Daniel stepped forward, standing tall. He raised his hand slowly, signaling peace. Around him, humans hesitated, some lowering their weapons, others gripping them tighter. Keleth activated the holographic translator, sending a simple message. We come in peace. We wish to learn about you. The humans stared, blinking at the projection. Some laughed nervously, thinking it a trick. Others were skeptical, unsure if these beings could be trusted. Daniel stepped closer and spoke, using words and gestures the aliens could interpret. He explained that they had lived on this planet for generations, separated from Earth and had survived through cooperation and hard work. Varen tilted his head, fascinated. They speak slowly but clearly. Their language is primitive compared to our systems, yet they convey meaning directly. Keleth nodded. Meaning does not depend on complexity. Look at how they have built their homes, managed their resources, and survived storms. That is intelligence in action. One of the younger humans, a boy named Liam, stepped forward, holding a small mechanical device, a water filter he had built from stones and plant fibers. "We make what we need," he said, proudly showing it to the aliens. The aliens observed in silence. They could not fully understand the device at first, but they noted its ingenuity. Seelan, the historian, whispered, "They have no advanced technology, yet they create solutions with what they have. Their resourcefulness is remarkable." Meanwhile, some humans remained wary. A man named Garrick, responsible for the colony's defense, argued, "They are too strange. How do we know they are not scouts for an army that could destroy us?" Daniel shook his head. "We judge by actions, not fear. They came with gestures of peace. Let us see what they offer before we act rashly." Keleth extended her mechanical appendage, a simple gesture to show trust. Daniel mirrored it with his own hand. Slowly, a connection was made, not through words, but through understanding and patience. The aliens asked questions about the colony, how they grew food, how they survived storms, how they communicated over distances. The humans responded, sometimes pointing, sometimes drawing symbols in the dirt. It was awkward at first, filled with confusion and pauses, yet slowly meaning emerged. As the day progressed, the aliens were astonished by the humans' adaptability. They learned that each settlement had its own system for collecting water, generating heat, and distributing food. The humans had created simple but effective shelters from rocks, mud, and plant fibers, insulated against temperature extremes. Daniel explained, "We have no advanced ships or weapons. We rely on each other. Strength is in unity, not machines." Varen whispered to Keleth. "They survive by cooperation, by ingenuity, not by firepower. That is something even we can learn from." The aliens also noticed the humans' sense of community. Elders were respected, knowledge was shared freely, and decisions were made collectively. Even children were taught responsibility from a young age, learning to care for crops, water systems, and each other. By mid-afternoon, a misunderstanding occurred. A human child, curious about the aliens, approached too closely to Keleth. Alarmed, Keleth's protective instincts triggered, and a defensive holographic shield activated briefly. The humans, seeing the sudden barrier, believed the aliens were attacking. They raised weapons. Daniel rushed forward, shouting for calm. "Wait, they mean no harm." Keleth deactivated the shield immediately. She realized the humans' fear was natural. Silent added, "Even with gestures of peace, trust must be earned." This incident, though tense, served as a learning moment for both sides. The aliens realized that human fear was not ignorance, it was survival instinct. The humans understood that the aliens were capable of defense, but not necessarily aggression. As evening fell, the humans invited the aliens to observe their evening routines. Families gathered around fires, shared meals, and told stories of ancestors. The aliens watched quietly, fascinated by these simple but meaningful rituals. Keleth whispered to Varen, "Their strength is not in weapons or technology, but in their spirit. They maintain hope, community, and courage even in a harsh world. That is remarkable." The humans also began to appreciate the aliens' presence. Though strange, their calm demeanor and careful actions suggested intelligence and understanding. Slowly, curiosity replaced fear. Children approached cautiously, asking questions. Adults watched with cautious respect. By night, a small gathering formed under the stars. Humans and aliens, separated by species but united by curiosity, shared knowledge in the only way possible: observation, gestures, and simple demonstrations. Daniel showed the aliens how he repaired a simple water wheel using vines and stones. Keleth demonstrated a small energy pulse that could light a lamp, careful not to frighten the humans. Slowly, trust grew, yet questions remained. The aliens wondered how the humans had survived for centuries without contact from Earth. The humans wondered why beings from the stars had suddenly appeared in their sky. Both sides knew the first day of contact was just the beginning. Before leaving, Keleth recorded her observations. "These humans are extraordinary. They survive where logic suggests they should not. They adapt, innovate, and maintain society under harsh conditions. Their intelligence is practical, creative, and resilient. They are remarkable, Varen added. We cannot measure them by machines or weapons alone. Their strength is something different, something rare. Daniel, watching the alien ships return to orbit, whispered to himself, "They are strange, but they are not enemies. Perhaps they can teach us, and perhaps we can teach them." That night, both humans and aliens rested under the stars, thinking about what had occurred. The humans wondered if these beings could be friends or foes. The aliens wondered if they had underestimated a species that had endured so long, alone on a distant planet. And unbeknownst to both, the humans carried a secret that would change the aliens' understanding of survival, intelligence, and power forever. The first contact had been made. Misunderstandings had occurred, but trust began to form. And as the night deepened, the stars above seemed to shine brighter, as if acknowledging the start of an extraordinary journey, one that would reveal the true power of humanity in ways no one had expected. The next morning, the alien fleet remained in orbit, quietly observing the colony as the humans went about their daily tasks. Keleth, Varen, and Seelan prepared for another descent, determined to learn more about these resilient humans. They had seen enough to be impressed, but something about the humans' survival didn't make sense. Their technology was simple, their tools rudimentary, and yet they had survived centuries in a harsh environment where logic suggested they should have perished long ago. As their small craft descended, Daniel and a few trusted humans approached cautiously, ready to communicate. The previous day's tension had eased, replaced by curiosity and a fragile trust. The aliens activated their translation devices and holographic projectors, ready to interact carefully. Keleth began, "We wish to understand your survival. How have you managed in such conditions for so long?" Daniel looked around at his people. He knew that the truth they were about to reveal was one that had been kept secret for generations. "It is not only our work, our tools, or our strength that has kept us alive," he began carefully. "There is something here, something we have learned to live with, something that helps us, guides us, and protects us in ways we do not always understand." The aliens leaned closer, intrigued. Seelan's eyes widened as he asked, "What do you mean?" Daniel's voice lowered slightly. "There is an energy on this planet. It is part of the land, part of the air, part of everything here. It responds to us. It responds to our cooperation, our creativity, and our determination. When we work together, it strengthens us. When we innovate, it assists us. It heals injuries, helps crops grow, and guides us through storms. We call it the heart of the planet." The aliens exchanged looks of shock. Keleth whispered to Varen, This is impossible. We have detected energy sources on planets before, but nothing sentient. Nothing responsive in this way. Could it be that this energy is alive?" Daniel nodded. "Alive in its own way. It listens, it learns, it responds, but it does not control us. It only amplifies what we do. That is why we have survived. That is why we thrive when logic says we should have perished." Varen's mind raced. So their survival, their ingenuity, has been enhanced subtly by this energy. That explains why simple tools can achieve extraordinary results. Keleth's voice was steady but filled with awe. It is not the humans alone. It is their bond with the planet. They have formed a symbiotic relationship. This is remarkable. We underestimated them. One of the human elders, a woman named Marin, stepped forward. "It is not magic," she said firmly. "We work, we plan, we create. The energy helps, yes, but only because we earn it through our actions. It is our ingenuity, our courage, and our cooperation that give it strength." Seelan looked thoughtful. Incredible. Even with advanced technology, our civilizations rely on machines and programs. These humans, they rely on each other and their environment. That is, unusual but effective. The aliens spent the day observing the energy in action. In one settlement, a severe storm approached. Humans worked together, reinforcing shelters, channeling water, and securing crops. As they did, a subtle shimmer appeared in the air around them. Walls held stronger than they should have, water flowed more efficiently, and even the youngest children remained calm and safe. Varen watched in amazement. It is true. Their actions interact with this energy. They are not just surviving. They are shaping the environment to respond to them. Keleth added, "And it is not just survival. Creativity, problem-solving, courage, these amplify the energy's response. Their intellect is practical, adaptive, and alive in a way we cannot measure with instruments. The humans shared more examples. A sick child recovered more quickly than medicine alone could explain. A damaged water wheel repaired itself when combined with careful human adjustments. A wildfire in a distant valley slowed when humans worked together to contain it. Each time the energy responded, guided by human initiative and cooperation. The aliens began to understand something fundamental. Human strength was not measured by machines, weapons, or advanced technology alone. It was measured by adaptability, ingenuity, cooperation, and courage. That night, as the sun dipped below the horizon, the humans gathered around fires, sharing stories of ancestors and survival. The aliens sat quietly, absorbing every detail. Daniel spoke of past generations who had faced famine, storms, and sickness, and yet each generation survived because of careful planning, cooperation, and the subtle guidance of the planet. Ceylon whispered to Keleth, "Their history. It is extraordinary. Centuries of hardship, adaptation, and innovation. They are far more capable than we ever imagined." Keleth nodded. "We judged them by technology alone. That was our mistake. This energy reveals only part of their power. Their true strength is their spirit, their courage, their intelligence, their unity." The following day brought a new challenge. A massive landslide threatened one of the settlements. Humans rushed to respond, directing water flow and shoring up structures. The aliens prepared to intervene but were stopped by Daniel. "We can handle this. We must show them our strength ourselves," he said firmly. The aliens watched as humans worked tirelessly, coordinating their efforts. Slowly, the landslide's impact was minimized. Not a single life was lost, and damage to the structures was limited. The aliens realized that even the planet's energy responded to human initiative. Without their guidance, the assistance would have been far less effective. Varen admitted quietly, "Their ingenuity, their cooperation, even the energy itself bends to them. They are unique." Keleth smiled, a mixture of pride and amazement in her expression. "And yet they think of themselves as ordinary. Their humility is part of their strength. They do not rely on domination, only on effort and unity. That is rare in the galaxy." That evening, Daniel led the aliens to the central greenhouses where food was grown under careful management. "We survive through knowledge and observation," he said. "We watch the land, the weather, the plants, and we respond. The planet guides us, yes, but we make the choices. That is how we endure." Keleth nodded. "It is a partnership, then. Not control, but respect. Humans understand the balance between initiative and environment. That is something even our advanced civilizations sometimes forget." Silent added, "Their cooperation with each other and with the planet is astonishing. It is a model of adaptation, not through force, but through ingenuity." The aliens spent several days observing and learning from the humans. Each encounter revealed more of the colony's methods, more of the humans' resourcefulness, and more of their ability to face impossible odds. The aliens realized that survival, creativity, and intelligence could take forms far beyond their own understanding. Finally, Keleth addressed the humans with deep respect. "We have underestimated your species. We thought your technology would define your strength, but we see now that your ingenuity, courage, and cooperation are your true power. You have not only survived, you have thrived, guided by wisdom, unity, and your bond with this planet." Daniel smiled faintly. "We did not survive alone. The planet helps, yes, but our ancestors' courage and intelligence built everything you see. We honor the past, work together in the present, and hope for the future. That is what has kept us alive." Varen turned to Keleth. "They are more than survivors. They are creators, innovators, and problem solvers. Even our most advanced civilizations have not faced challenges like theirs. Perhaps humanity is not primitive. Perhaps they are extraordinary." Keleth nodded, her eyes reflecting the glow of the fires below. "Extraordinary indeed. And the galaxy has yet to see the full measure of their power. This is only the beginning." As night fell, humans and aliens alike looked to the stars, each thinking about the lessons learned. The humans knew their secret was now partly revealed, but they trusted the aliens to respect their independence. The aliens, for the first time, began to see humans not as a simple species, but as a complex, adaptive, and courageous people whose ingenuity could not be measured by technology alone. And in that moment, both species understood that their encounter was no ordinary meeting. It was the beginning of a revelation that would change their understanding of intelligence, survival and power across the galaxy. The shocking truth had been revealed. Human ingenuity, courage and cooperation, amplified by the subtle guidance of their planet, was a force unlike any the aliens had ever encountered. And the universe would never underestimate humanity again. The day began quietly, but the calm was deceptive. Dark clouds gathered on the horizon, their shapes twisted and threatening. Winds howled across the barren plains, and the ground trembled with the distant warning of an approaching storm. Daniel observed from the ridge, his eyes scanning the settlement below. "This storm is unlike anything we've faced before," he muttered. "It could destroy the greenhouses, wash away crops, and endanger lives if we're not ready." Keleth, watching from her hovering craft, furrowed her brow. "The humans are skilled, yes, but this storm is extreme. Their survival skills will be tested." Farron added, "Perhaps it is time we act not only as observers but as partners. If they survive this, they will truly earn our respect." Keleth nodded. "Agreed, but we must act carefully. Our interference should support, not dominate." The storm arrived faster than expected. Fierce winds whipped through the valley, tearing at shelters, scattering tools, and uprooting small plants. Dust and debris flew through the air, making it almost impossible to see. The humans moved quickly. Following routines they had developed over generations, teams reinforced shelters with rocks and beams, secured water channels, and dug trenches to redirect floodwater. Daniel directed the effort, shouting instructions to keep people coordinated. "Hold the beams! Tie the supports tighter! Protect the children and the elderly." His voice was steady, inspiring confidence even as the storm raged around them. Keleth activated a small device that emitted a subtle energy field, designed to shield fragile structures from collapse. It was not overpowering, merely enhancing the humans' efforts. As she observed, she realized that the humans themselves seemed to guide the storm, their coordinated actions amplified by the mysterious energy of the planet. Seelan's eyes widened. "Even with our assistance, they are the true leaders here. Our technology only supports what they already do." Varen, impressed, said, "Their ingenuity, coordination, and courage, it is extraordinary. They survive through action, not fear. This is unlike any species we have encountered." Meanwhile, humans worked alongside the alien devices carefully, learning quickly how to use them. Children helped carry small supplies. Elders reinforced walls, and everyone moved with precision. Despite the chaos, the sense of community and cooperation was strong. As the storm reached its peak, a landslide began on a nearby slope. Huge rocks and soil tumbled down toward the colony. Panic spread among some humans, but Daniel shouted calmly, directing teams to build barriers and redirect the flow. Keleth, sensing the danger, extended a protective field over the area where humans were most at risk. It pulsed gently, just enough to stabilize the ground and prevent a catastrophe. The humans adapted their strategies to work with the field, using it as a tool without depending on it completely. The aliens were amazed. "They adapt everything," Silen whispered. "They do not rely on our technology. They integrate it with their ingenuity. That is impressive." By late afternoon, the storm began to subside. Structures were damaged, but lives were spared. Crops had suffered some loss, but the humans were already planning recovery. They looked around at the aliens, who had offered assistance without dominance, and a mutual understanding formed. Daniel approached Keleth and Varen. "Thank you for your help," he said. "Without your support, some areas would have been destroyed. But the decisions came from us. That is how we survive. Cooperation is our strength." Keleth nodded, smiling. "And your strength is clear. You have proven not only survival, but leadership, ingenuity, and courage. We respect your abilities, Daniel." "Your species is remarkable," Varen added. "We underestimated you before. We now see that intelligence is not measured by technology alone, but by creativity, adaptability, and courage. You have earned our respect." Over the following days, humans and aliens worked together to rebuild damaged structures, repair water channels, and restore crops. The aliens offered advanced tools and guidance, but the humans remained in control of decisions, demonstrating leadership at every step. The aliens learned more about human problem-solving. A broken irrigation wheel was repaired using local wood, rope, and carefully guided energy pulses from alien devices. Food storage systems were reinforced using combined techniques. The humans adapted quickly, incorporating alien technology without losing their independence. During these cooperative efforts, Bonds formed between individuals. Keleth and Daniel spent hours discussing strategy and observations. Solange shared stories with Marin about other civilizations, while children laughed as they played under the watchful eyes of alien guardians. Even Varine, the strategist, admitted to observing human courage with admiration. One evening, Daniel gathered the human leaders. "We have learned a lot from them, but they have learned from us as well," he said. "They now understand our way of life, our cooperation, and our creativity. They see that survival depends on more than weapons or technology. It depends on unity and courage." Keleth overheard and nodded to Varen. "He is right. They have taught us a lesson we could not have learned from books or simulations. Human ingenuity is beyond what we expected." The humans also began to appreciate the aliens' presence. The initial fear had turned into curiosity and cautious respect. They realized that these beings could be allies, not threats. Children asked questions, adults shared knowledge, and a sense of mutual learning developed. One night, under a sky filled with stars, Daniel and Keleth spoke quietly near a campfire. "I never thought we would meet beings from the stars," Daniel said. "And yet here you are, helping us without taking control." "That is unexpected," Keleth smiled. "And I never thought I would see humans who could survive alone for centuries on a planet like this. Your courage, resourcefulness, and unity are remarkable. We have much to learn from each other." As the days passed, the aliens began to document human ingenuity in detail. They recorded farming methods, water collection, shelter construction, and even daily routines. Every observation revealed humans' ability to adapt, improvise, and cooperate under pressure. Silen, the historian, remarked, "Even with all our knowledge, we cannot replicate this. Their ingenuity is born of necessity and spirit. That is something no technology can teach." Meanwhile, humans shared their own knowledge of the land. They showed the aliens how to identify safe water sources, how to cultivate soil in difficult conditions, and how to predict weather changes using simple observations. It was a collaboration of understanding, each species teaching and learning from the other. By the end of the week, a strong alliance had formed. Trust was no longer tentative, it was earned through cooperation, shared effort, and respect for each other's abilities. The aliens admitted that they had underestimated humans. These primitive beings were clever, adaptable, and resilient in ways that their advanced technology could not fully measure. Daniel gathered the colony together for a ceremony of gratitude. Humans and aliens stood side by side celebrating survival, ingenuity, and cooperation. Fires burned bright, and stories were shared of the storm, the landslide, and the ways humans and aliens had worked together to overcome disaster. Keleth addressed the group. "Today we have learned that intelligence is not measured by machines or weapons. It is measured by courage, creativity, and cooperation. Humans, you have shown that your strength lies in your spirit and unity. We respect you, and we honor your ingenuity." The humans responded with applause and cheers. Children waved at the aliens, adults smiled, and even the skeptics nodded in recognition of the bond that had formed. Daniel spoke last, his voice steady and proud. "We are grateful for your help. But remember, our survival is our responsibility. Cooperation strengthens us, but ingenuity and courage define us. Together we can face anything. And now we also know that friendship and respect can cross the stars." As the sun set behind the mountains, humans and aliens stood together, united not by fear or power, but by understanding, respect, and the shared knowledge that survival depended on more than technology. It depended on courage, intelligence, and cooperation. For the first time, the aliens truly understood the unique strength of humanity, and for the humans, the presence of the aliens was no longer a threat, but a reminder that even across the galaxy, alliances could be formed through trust, learning, and mutual respect. The storm had tested them all, but in the end, it had revealed something far more important. The power of humans was not in tools, weapons, or machines. It was in their spirit, their ingenuity, and their ability to work together, and that power had earned the respect of an entire alien civilization. The stars above seemed brighter that night, reflecting the hope, courage, and partnership that had formed on this distant, harsh planet. Humanity had proven itself once more, not just to survive, but to inspire, to teach, and to build bonds that could span worlds. The days after the storm were filled with quiet productivity. Humans and aliens moved side by side, repairing what had been damaged, reinforcing shelters and restoring crops. The sense of accomplishment was strong, and a new energy seemed to flow through the colony. People moved with confidence, children laughed freely, and the aliens observed everything with admiration. Daniel walked among the humans, checking the repaired water channels and greenhouses. "We have survived," he said quietly, "not because of luck, but because of courage, cooperation, and ingenuity. And now we have learned from others as well." Keleth approached, her presence calm and respectful. "Your survival, your strength. It is extraordinary. We have witnessed not only endurance, but intelligence, creativity, and unity in ways we could not have imagined. Humanity. Your species is remarkable." Daniel nodded. "We have always known our potential. It is good to see others recognize it too." Over the next few days, the aliens conducted a final survey. They documented the humans' ingenuity, their practical intelligence, and the ways they had adapted to their planet's harsh environment. Each observation confirmed what they had already begun to understand. Humans were not measured by technology alone. Their resourcefulness, courage, and cooperation were what made them extraordinary. Silan, the historian, expressed his awe. "We have encountered many civilizations, advanced and ancient, but none like this. Humans do not rely solely on machines or weapons. Their power lies in spirit, creativity, and unity that is unprecedented." Varen added, "They have survived centuries in isolation on a planet that should have been their undoing. Their resilience is astonishing. We underestimated them before, and we will not again." Daniel called a meeting of the human leaders. "The aliens respect us now," he said. "They have seen our ingenuity and courage. But we must remember, we are still responsible for our survival. They are allies, yes, but the decisions, the work, and the courage remain ours. That is how we endure." Marin, the elder, nodded. "They have given us knowledge, and we have shared our ways. But the strength of our people, our cooperation, and our bond with this land is what matters most." The aliens invited Daniel and a small group of humans to join them in orbit for a demonstration of advanced technology. It was not a gift, but a sharing of knowledge. They showed how energy fields could stabilize structures, how sensors could detect environmental changes, and how machines could assist in tasks without replacing human ingenuity. Daniel observed quietly, learning, but always considering how his people could integrate this knowledge without losing their independence. "We can use this," he said to Keleth, "but we will adapt it to our way of life, our way of thinking, and our cooperation. That is how humans learn best, through adaptation, not imitation." Keleth smiled. "And that is why your species is extraordinary. You do not simply copy, you innovate, you improve, adapt, and survive. That is what sets you apart." Back on the planet, life returned to a steady rhythm. Children played near repaired greenhouses, elders shared stories, and adults worked with renewed energy. Humans and aliens had learned from each other, and a bond of mutual respect had been established. One evening, as the stars shone brightly above, Daniel gathered the colony for a farewell. The alien ships would depart soon, returning to explore the rest of the galaxy. Humans and aliens alike stood together, the air filled with quiet admiration and gratitude. Keleth stepped forward. "We came as observers, curious about your survival. We leave as witnesses, impressed and humbled by your ingenuity, courage, and cooperation. Humanity, your species has shown that true strength is measured not by technology but by spirit. We will carry your example across the stars," Varen added. "We underestimated you before. Now we understand that survival, creativity, and unity are forces more powerful than any weapon or machine. You have earned our respect forever." Daniel spoke last, addressing both his people and the aliens. "We are grateful for your presence, your knowledge, and your respect. But remember, our survival is our responsibility. The planet, the energy, and even your guidance can assist us, but the courage, the work, and the decisions come from us. That is how we endure, and that is how we will continue to thrive." Marin stepped forward and added, "Let this be a moment remembered by all. We have faced the storm, learned from visitors from the stars, and proven the strength of human ingenuity and cooperation. May we continue to honor our ancestors and work together for the future." The alien ships began to rise into orbit, their engines glowing softly against the night sky. Humans watched, waving hands and tools, children shouting in excitement and curiosity. The aliens waved back, a gesture of respect and acknowledgement. As the ships disappeared into the distance, Daniel felt a sense of pride and hope. His people had survived, thrived, and earned the recognition of beings far more advanced. They had proven that even on a harsh, distant planet, humans could not only endure but inspire admiration through courage, intelligence, and unity. Keleth, observing from the lead ship, reflected on the lessons learned. We thought we would teach them. Instead, they taught us. Humanity is extraordinary, not because of technology or power, but because of their spirit. We will never forget this, Varen nodded, and the galaxy will need to reconsider humanity. We have seen only a fraction of their potential, yet it is already beyond what we expected. They are remarkable. Back on the planet, life returned to normal. The humans repaired, rebuilt, and continued their routines with renewed energy and confidence. The energy of the planet, subtle yet powerful, flowed through them, guided by their ingenuity, courage, and cooperation. Daniel looked to the stars, knowing that one day humans and aliens might meet again, not as strangers but as allies. The galaxy was vast, full of unknowns, but humanity had proven its place among the stars, not as a primitive species, but as a remarkable, adaptable, and courageous people capable of surviving against all odds. As night fell and fires burned bright across the settlement, the humans shared stories of the past days. Children laughed, elders smiled, and a sense of unity and purpose filled the air. They had faced storms, challenges, and the unknown, and had emerged stronger, wiser, and more confident than ever. And somewhere in the vastness of space, Keleth and her fleet continued their journey, carrying the story of a human colony that had survived centuries alone on a distant planet, a story of courage, ingenuity, and unity that would change the way the galaxy viewed humanity forever. For the humans, the lesson was clear. Survival was not measured by technology or power, but by the ability to think, adapt, cooperate, and face challenges with courage. That was the true strength of humanity. The stars above seemed brighter that night, as if acknowledging the extraordinary journey of a people who had been lost to the galaxy, but had now proven that even in isolation, humanity's spirit could shine across worlds, leaving an enduring mark on the universe.